We can move to paragraph 22.
Before we do that, we've heard from other witnesses, and I ask now, because paragraph 22 is a different day, it's the 10th, it's the next day. We've heard from other witnesses that General Khan arrived on the scene and spoke to people, gave instructions. We've heard that from Warrant Officer Pakula, and we've heard it, I think, from Mahane as well. It might be Stein as well, might have testified to that. You don't say anything about him in your statement, his presence at the scene on the 9th. Do you want to explain that?
Commissioners, I have not seen General Khan, but it only came to my knowledge that when I was just checking to see, there is this information that General Khan was there, but myself, I did not even engage with him. Then I was informed that there were two generals, except for General Khan.
The other generals?
They mentioned other general. I can't remember the same name, but I was told there were two generals, but that I did not even see. General Khan, I'm told he was there. I don't know that one will, the only information about General Khan, it will come in my statement.
Yes.
In this statement here.
So when you hear that, what you've heard about General Khan being on the scene, was it said he was on the scene before you arrived, or while you were there, you just did not see him?
Commissioners, when I was making a statement to IPIT, that is when I'm informed that I have been instructed by General Khan to arrest those members, of which I denied. Because during the time, at that time when I was dealing with the information and interviewing of them, I did not see General Khan. I did not.
If he was present on the scene when you were there, considering the role that you were playing as the owner of the scene, you're now in charge of the scene, you would have seen him if he was as active, because I think what we've heard from the evidence is he spoke to Mashaba and Mahane, I think Pakula as well, asked them who are they, who are their superiors, and he called their superiors who answered the way they did about knowledge of these people being on the scene. We heard from Pakula that when LCRC was there, Pakula was introduced to Khan. Pakula went and spoke to Khan, and Khan told him to stand down. But before he stood down, he went to the motor vehicle that had the drugs, that black police car, to remove the seals that were on the passenger seat, and he was stopped from taking them. So according to Pakula, Khan was there at the same time as LCRC, and Khan was giving instructions or was active on there. My question to you is, you were in charge of the scene. You would have seen him if he did what Pakula describes.
Yes, I would have seen him if he did. As per the explanation by Pakula, I would have seen him.
But you are saying you did not see him.
And I did not know General Khan by then.
You didn't know him?
I didn't know General Khan by then.
You had never seen him?
I only came in contact with General Khan after this case.
And he was, according to this account, he was at the scene. He did not come to say, I'm here. No one said to you, General Khan is here. Nothing of sorts happened.
Commissioners, the reason why I only, when IP was questioning me, because I did not know, I asked General Khan, that was General Khan there at the scene? He said he was with him, and together with other general. I can't remember who that general was, but he told me about him. We did not even interact, me and him.
Did you see Kadwa at the scene?
General Kadwa was at the scene.
Who was he with?
He entered at the scene with Brigadier Loyal Kenel Ludik. And because that is why I said, where they stopped, that was where other people were. That will include the employee of that company. That is why even when my brigadier Sebola, when arrived, she also stopped with them. Then she came to me at a later stage also, but she did not take part on what was happening. So I did not know General Khan. But
Is it possible that he could have been there and you did not see him?
it can be possible, Commissioners.
So you can't dispute
I
that?
can't dispute that one. I can't.
It seems to me that General Khan played a significant role at the scene. Mohoboya goes as far as saying that he was in charge of the scene at a particular point. And so to me, your answer to Commissioner Baloyi seems insufficient because it appears from the docket that Khan played a very significant role, at least in the time that he was there. And just to say that General Kadwa does also confirm that General Khan was at the scene and gave him a briefing.
I think I have answered it to say, I never interacted with General Khan. I even further say, fall on the issue that, can you dispute the fact that General Khan was there? I am still saying, I can't dispute if he was there, but the only thing that I did, I never had any contact with General Khan.
I suppose,
If-
Colonel. Oh.
If he had taken over the scene, would you not have seen that? Because one of the statements that Ms. Bowe referred us to says that General Khan took over the scene. If that had happened, would you not have seen it?
Commissioners,
Especially as I understand the situation, you were now in charge of the scene, or not?
it would never have happened when I'm in charge of the scene.
Yes. So
Unless
how do you explain the statement that says he took over the scene?
no, I'm saying, when I took over the scene, I got it from Sergeant No.
Yes, I know.
Yes.
So which would mean that he either took the scene over from you or further down the line from somebody who might have taken it over from you. But I don't think anybody else took it over from you. So would you not have seen him if he had taken over the scene?
I would have seen him. Unless if he came before me, because when I look at the time frame, they speak about someone is saying 9, the other one is saying 10. But I don't want to use.
Before does not look possible.
So
Not on the information that we have. I'm saying before does not look possible.
it does not look possible. Even in my presence, it did not happen.
So my question then is, are you able to explain the statement that says that at some stage he took over the scene?
No, he did not.
Thank you.
You see, what he says in his statement, this is General Khan, he says when he left the scene, he left General Kadwa in charge of the scene. That's what Khan says. He's at the scene at some point that you say you were in charge of. He approached the members who were standing next to the black bakkie, so we know he was at the scene.
Yes.
In fact, Pakula does say that he was, at some point, they were made to stand next to the bakkie. He introduced himself as Khan. I asked them what they were doing there. Then one of them was Maluleke, told me that this was his operation and that he was from the DPCI Pretoria. These are the members that are standing next to the black vehicle. I asked him who his commander was, and he said Colonel Bok. He gave me the number whom I called. Bok told me he was not aware of the operation. I think Ms. Bowe has done that with you. And then he says, I then saw a member that I recognized on the scene, Warrant Officer Pakula. And Pakula does say that this man was there. And we know that Pakula would have been, on your version, you caught into the scene. So Pakula would have been there because in the end he's one of the people that are arrested. Khan says, I saw Pakula there.
Correct.
And asked him the same question, requested the number of his superior. He then spoke to Mahane, the member who was driving the black bakkie. Told me his name, asked him for the details of his superior, and he told me that he didn't know, he was just about to accompany his friend Mashaba to the operation. I decided that more investigation is required. I called Kadwa. So General Khan calls Kadwa. General Khan is on the scene. He calls Kadwa, General Kadwa rather. I requested him to come to the scene. I also called General Lekalakala. I think
General
that's
Lekalakala
the
was there,
general
yes.
you wanted. So Khan is placing himself on the scene. And he also calls Kadwa. You say you were told later that Kadwa was there standing. And then he called somebody else, Maisela, who is the commander of Mashaba, who told him they were looking for Mashaba and they didn't know about the operation. Kadwa and Lekalakala arrived on the scene. He explained the situation to them. After a few minutes, I left the scene. And then I informed my divisional commissioner, and then I received a call from Sipungo who asked me for permission to visit the scene. I told him to please contact Kwad Kadwa, who was left in charge of the scene. So on General Khan's account, you were never in charge of the scene. That's on his account. You were never on the scene. And this is a statement, it's part of the docket. You were never in charge of the scene. Kadwa was in charge of the scene. What I'm seeking to make sense of is, in your statement, you don't mention Kadwa. In your evidence, you say you were told he was there. So on your account, he was just inactive there. But Khan places him on the scene. Pakula makes him active on the scene because Pakula explains this is what Khan did, which coincides with what Khan has done here in his statement. We've also seen WhatsApp exchanges between Khan and Pakula, which confirm that Khan was on the scene. So that you don't mention him at all, and is the first curiosity, but two, and Kadwa as well, one, and then two, that you say you could not have seen him, you didn't see him. It's difficult to comprehend. If you were in charge, so in my mind, there are, it would make sense if you were not in charge of the scene, right? If you were not placing yourself as the in charge of the scene, I would say, I can see how you may have missed him. You know, maybe you were focusing on other things. But as the in charge of the scene, forget for now that there's this contradiction here of who was in charge of the scene, in fact, because you say you were, Khan says he was, and then he says he left Kadwa in charge of the scene. Forget for a second that. If you were in charge of the scene, you would have known Khan is there, given how he describes what he was doing. Forget what Sapea says and the strangeness in his statement. Let's work just with what Khan himself says, that a general who places himself as being that active on a scene, either you were not on the same scene with him, and so you didn't see any of that, or he's being untruthful about being on the scene and being as active, or you are the one that's being untruthful about seeing him, not seeing him on the scene, and therefore not accounting for him. But that also goes for Kadwa as well. I think there has to be an explanation for that, which is at best curious. And maybe let me finish off by saying that even if you had not seen him on the scene, you come to know, you say, through the IPIT process. And for purpose of our discussion now, I'm prepared to assume or accept that it's the first time you came to know that Khan was on the scene when you're now dealing with the IPIT process. You prepared this statement to the Commission very recently. You don't say, and I would have expected you to say, I was informed. I learned later that General Khan was on the scene. And I see this from other people's statements, because it's your docket. So I see it in the docket, but I actually only became aware of it when I dealt with IPID. You're completely quiet about Khan's presence at the scene, completely. Kadwa, you minimize his role to being a bystander. That's, I don't understand it.
So the Commissioner, Kadwa did?
You said, you don't mention it. You said in your statement, you said very little about Kadwa as well. I remember noting it somewhere. In fact, you refer to him in quite a confusing way. At paragraph 11 of your statement, you say, Colonel Ludik then arrived immediately after he dropped his phone with General Kadwa, and Brigadier Luella and I approached Colonel Ludik, So that's the only mention of Kadwa that I picked up, and please correct me if I'm wrong, in your statement. And then in your oral evidence, when you were testifying now, earlier in the day, you said, well, yeah, Kadwa, I heard later that he was there. He was standing there somewhere, but he never played any active role. I think that's how I remember your evidence.
Kadwa or Khan, Commissioner?
Kadwa. So I'm saying two things to you. Your statement is completely silent about Khan. Even your oral evidence, completely quiet, silent about General Khan. You are silent about him, even as you have a docket of statements that place him on the scene, and his own statement where he places himself on the scene. You say nothing. Not even, I later became aware when I was dealing with IPID that General Khan was there, and this is what he's supposed to have done. You don't say anything like that to us in your statement. So reading your statement, you give the impression, because you are counting, it's your sin. You are counting for what happened in the time that you were there. Your statement gives the impression, oh, this is all that the people that were there. You mentioned many, many names. You don't mention Khan. So Khan was not there when one reads your statement, because nothing is said about him. And then you mentioned Kadwa in passing, in paragraph 11. Someone was talking to him. I've read for you that paragraph 11. You say Ludik he arrived immediately after he dropped his phone with Kadwa. And that's all you say about Kadwa. And in your oral evidence now, testimony, you said Kadwa, you later learned that Kadwa was there standing somewhere. You didn't deal with him on the scene. I think that's how I remember your evidence. So what I'm putting to you is, it's quite
Sorry,
strange.
Commissioner, maybe I did not. Can I get clarity in terms of General Kadwa?
Yes.
That the commissioner is saying, I later learned that he's there.
I think I understood you in your oral evidence that you say Kadwa was there, but he played no active role. Am I wrong in my recollection of that?
You are
evidence?
correct, Commissioner.
Yes. But that's something you say in your oral evidence, right? But Khan says he left him in charge of the scene. And so what I'm putting to you, or what I'm raising with you as a matter of concern, and that at this point requires a satisfactory explanation, is how could you have missed the presence of Khan if you were in charge of the scene and he tells us in that statement what he did on the scene? I assume Khan has no reason to lie about being on the scene. He has no reason to lie about it. So he places himself on the scene. How could you not have seen him if this was your scene? That does require an explanation. You may answer.
Commissioner, I still maintain I did not see General Khan on the scene. I did not interact with General Khan on the scene. For him to say General Kadwa was in charge of the scene, I don't know where he get it from. Because General Kadwa, even when Colonel Stein was there, Colonel Stein was the one who was briefing General Kadwa. That is why I cannot say anything about him. Even when the Brigadier Sebola arrived, I was not the one who was briefing him about, because I briefed Colonel Stein. He was talking to this. And then also, I get to know that the other general present there was General Kalakal. I did not see. The two I did not see. I still maintain, when I took over the scene, I never came across that. When I was engaging with Rihoso, yes, he confirmed that it's just that maybe we were not careful. Khan was there. But to me, I did not see. I've never engaged General Khan, never talked to him on the scene. And General Khan was never in charge of my scene.
What does being in charge of the scene mean? It's a bit confusing because a lot of people say it. Does it mean giving instructions as regards the bags, where they should go, their offloading from the black baggie, their opening, and the testing of the cocaine in the manner that you described, and then giving instructions to the photographer to take photos and packing the exhibits in the evidence bags? Or does it mean somebody at the gate stopping other people from coming in? I'm a bit lost because a lot of people are saying this one was in charge, told us we can't come in. This one said the dog unit cannot come in. But it's not clear to me at this stage when they refer to the scene, are they referring to the bags and instructions in relation to the bags? Or exactly what are they referring to? What is your understanding when somebody says, I was in charge of the scene?
If I'm in charge of the scene, I'm now the crime scene manager. I'm now taking note of each and everything that is within the scene, even giving instruction of what need to be done, who need to be called, who need to do what. That is the in charge that I'm talking about. This is what my role was. I was in charge of the scene. If they are saying they were in charge, maybe they can explain. Who did they call from LCRC? The record they were keeping, who was keeping the record of the registering those exhibit in the SAP 13? That they must also explain to that, because I know it was me. When I'm saying I'm in charge, should there be anything that goes wrong within that scene, the only person that will answer, to be responsible, is the person who is the crime scene manager, who is in charge of the scene. Those standing off the gate, preventing people from entering, they are just they will be just assisting.
Is it possible for somebody to be in charge of the scene and promptly leave and leave it to somebody else who then also promptly leave the scene? Can you call those people in charge of the scene?
They are not in charge of the scene. When we are in charge of the scene, we will take over the scene until its finality. You must know what was the last thing that happened. When we are now clearing the scene, I will be able to say, now after the scene has been cleared, I have to compile my incident report about what transpired there. That was the person who was in charge of the scene.
General Lekala. Did you know General Lekala?
I did not know him.
In June, July 2021?
I did not know him.
Did you see General Lekala there?
I did not see him. But somewhere after, I was told that also General Kalakala was there.
Because General Khan says he left, Kadwa and Lekalakala arrived on the scene at 1200 hours on the 9th of July 2021. I explained the situation to them. I introduced them to the risk manager of the Scania warehouse. After a few minutes, I left the scene. Do you want to comment or say anything about that? Were you aware of that?
No, I'm coming out because I don't know where it, but it did not happen inside my scene.
Yeah.
You see, Colonel, this is your docket. So maybe let me ask you a question. This is your docket, and General Khan's statement that we are referring to is in your docket. Unless you say to us you haven't read the contents of the docket for whatever reason, maybe there is an explanation for it. If you have read General Khan's statement, which is in your docket, then the question is, he says things that you disagree with. When he says, I was at the scene, I did all of these things. You disagree with them because you say, I never saw all of that. But maybe the one that directly contradicts you is where he says Kadwa was left in charge. He says that in the statement. You say, no, that's nonsense. Nothing of such happened. You disagree with him completely. You say, I was in charge of the scene. Now, you have that statement in your docket. What have you done? Have you spoken to General Khan? Is there a record where this is your version that contradicts him? Is recorded? I would think something that important. You would have seen the statement and you would have said, General, let's sit down. What are you talking about? Did you do that?
Commissioners, I've never even sat down with General Khan with respect to the statement. The statement, I don't know what prompted those who obtained it to bring it to my docket.
So you don't know the contents
That
of
is
your
why I will still maintain that. That which General Khan is saying is not true. He was not in charge of my scene. That which General Khan is saying, General Kadwa was in charge of the scene, is not true. It's not true.
And you say he was not on the scene because you would have seen
No,
him. It's your scene. You would have seen him. Can we at least accept that you, if he had been there, if he had been there, you would have seen him. It's your scene. He says, I was at the scene, I did A, B, C, D on the scene. So I'm putting to you this, that let's assume he's telling the truth. Let's assume he's telling the truth, that he was on the scene. Let's assume he's telling the truth when he says, I went and introduced, I think, Hadwa or somebody, to the risk manager of Scania. And I asked these gentlemen, who are you? Who's your commander? If all of that happened on your scene, General Khan did that, and I'm saying to you, let's assume, for purpose of my question, that all of that which he describes happened on a scene where you say you were in charge, you would have seen him. That must be so.
Commissioner, let me just state again, I did not know General Khan by then.
Okay, but you would have seen any member. Let me simplify it for you. It's your sin. If anyone spoke to the three gentlemen that were there, right? Anyone did the things that General Khan claims he was doing, you would have known. You may not have known the name, and maybe later be told, oh, that was General Khan, in fact, that did that. That person that did that is Khan. The proposition I'm making to you is it's your sin. You are in control of it. You are instructing who's doing what, so you know who are the people that are active on this scene. If General Khan or any police officer had been there and doing what General Khan said he did on the scene, maybe you don't know it's Khan, but you see a police officer who is talking to your suspects.
Commissioner, I did not see. Immediately when I was busy with my suspect, nobody interacted with them.
Yes, that's not my question. I'm past that. Allow me to repeat so that we don't waste any more time on this. You say you did not see him, and you are going to repeat that. That's why I'm stopping you. That's your answer. So I'm putting a proposition to you that if you were in charge of the scene, as you say you are, and General Khan or any police officer does what General Khan describes, he says, I did this, I did that, I did that. If any police officer did that on your scene that you would have been in charge of, you would have seen it.
That is correct.
Okay, so on that proposition, it must mean then that General Khan is being untruthful when he says he was on the scene and he did these kind of things. You would have seen him. So we must assume until he comes and explains himself that in fact he's untruthful, because you would have seen him if he was there.
I would have seen him. Yes.
All right. Thank you.